Hello, Doctor Who fans, wherever you are, and welcome to another brilliant episode of Who Corner to Corner. My name is Paul, and I'm joined, as always, by Machumba, Mr. Jeff. How you doing, Jeff? You all right, mate?
By your what?
Machumba. It's my new word. I've commandeered it. I picked it up from a video game, and now I use it in everyday life. Just get used to it. I'm going to be using it all the time from now on.
Okay, I will. Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent.
Yeah, chumba-tastic.
Yeah, don't do that. That's me. Anyway, before we dig any more shallow graves for ourselves, let's introduce our very, very, very special guest, who is none other than the editor-in-chief of SFX magazine himself, Mr. Darren Scott. Hello, Darren. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. Look at that. You got a round of applause from our hidden audience right there.
Yeah. We'll add it in post.
Yeah, we'll do that. So thank you for joining us tonight, Darren. I gather from various tweets that have passed backwards and forwards in the last few weeks that this is something of a long-held aspiration for you to join a Doctor Who podcast. Is that not the case?
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought that I probably should do something like this because I just don't really. I'm so busy doing the magazine that I don't really involve myself in the world of podcasts and what have you. So I just hear about them all the time, but I never actually go on them. I listen to them, but I don't. So then I just thought, well, life.
Why not? Why not go for it? And of course, we are delighted to have you choose this podcasting experience with our good selves, because despite whatever you may have heard, me and Jeff are absolute professionals. We do this literally all the time, as you can tell from Jeff's rather slick entry from earlier with his PC
My
and
internet
everything.
signal is always top notch.
It is indeed. So, Darren, we have put together some questions, and we scoured a few from our followers on social media, all three of them, and we've got a list of said questions, and we would like to put these to you to find out a little bit more about your good self, and maybe to have some good old Doctor Who and sci-fi in general kind of chat as we go along. So, let me put the first of these questions to you, sir. So, I've been doing a little bit of background, a little bit of stalking, and I discovered that you studied journalism at university. So my first question is, was it always your intention to be a journalist?
No, I think I wanted to. Well, I think I wanted to be a diver, and then I discovered sharks.
Okay.
And then, so I thought, probably not.
Yeah, that's a reasonable, career change based off of that. Yeah.
Just one, a swift move from one to the other.
Yeah.
Then I thought I wanted to be a pop star, but I thought when I was younger that you had to win the Eurovision Song Contest to be allowed to be a pop star. It wasn't nothing to do with being able to sing or anything. I just thought that you had to win this contest. So, but also when I was a kid, I just really loved comics, and I used to make little pretend comics and put them in the newsagents. Whether they wanted them or not. So it was always there was a sort of like I wanted to do that kind of thing, but then life went another way, and I had a whole other career, and then I went to university slightly older, so then long story short, I eventually got to do the thing that I wanted to do, but everything fell into place at the right time. So because otherwise the career path that I had, it wouldn't have been around. I would have done something different, and quite pleased with quite pleased with my life.
Well, it seems like you've always had some sort of hankering for it, because I was reading that you revived the university magazine while you were there. Is that true?
I did, yeah, actually. It was a student newspaper called Veritas, which I believe is Latin
for something. Oh, yes, I knew that.
Latin for something, and funnily enough, as with everything that I've ever done in my career, it was always full of Doctor Who, because at that point, Doctor Who had just recently come back on BBC. So, so there was a lot of Doctor Who content in the student newspaper. But in my defence, it was the number one show at the time. So
it's justified. Yeah, you don't need to make excuses to us. We'd
I
have done the
always
same.
I always feel like I have to sort of it's because I think when you're growing up with it, I mean, you guys probably know the same. It was never cool. It was never in. I mean, it was cool to us, but so even now, all these however many years later, you kind of go, you kind of feel like you have to, even though it has been like this huge thing, like far surpassing anything that we could have imagined back in its original form. You always, there's a slight justification for having to include it, sort of thing. So yeah, that is, I should actually just be a little. Well, you know, I'm in the perfect place now. I just say, oh, it's my job.
Yeah.
It just so happens that my job is something that you know, it just aligns perfectly with all of the things that I've always loved. So
that is the dream, isn't it? In, you know, many ways. Like Paul, maybe you do this as well, but we always say to our kids, you know, you need to do something that you enjoy. You know, when you get older, and if you can, you know, if you can do that and tie it in with, you know, with something you love, like, you know, for me, I run a video company. I don't know how to do anything else other than make videos. So if I didn't do that, I don't know what I'd be doing. You know, and
swimming
you know,
with sharks,
like,
Jeff.
yeah, singing
and swimming. Yes, going into Eurovision.
Now
I think that's so important. So important to tell your kids that they can do what they, you know, they can. It's fair enough to dream about something and want to do it and to achieve it, because you can, and you know, you just have to work quite hard to get it. It's like,
and give it a go, because, you know, like I always felt if it didn't work out for me to make video, then at least I tried, and if I didn't, you know, I'd have regretted it. And so to give it a go, and you absolutely, like you say, you can kind of achieve anything. You work at a little bit of luck as well, I think, maybe, you know, timing sometimes, but work at it, and, you know, make it happen.
I think I came from a generation where we were just kind of, we weren't really, it's not like now where everybody has their X Factor moment, and you can do, you know, you can do anything, you can be anyone you want. I think when I was growing up, it was like, you just have to get a job and pay the bills. It was never really kind of like, you can do something that you actually want to do. So that's why I did journalism later. You know, you start to realize, oh, actually, I am allowed to turn this nerdy, geeky thing into an actual career. You know, it's
And when you wanted to do that, Dan, what was like family support like? Were they for it, or, you know, like I remember my dad was a bit like, oh, you'll never make this work. You know, you won't make any money from it. It's a bit scary. And I thought, you're a fisherman for a living. Like, you travel the world fishing. You know, and if you can do that, then I can do
point
this,
videos
you
at
know.
people. Yeah.
It's strange, isn't it? There's an assumption that certainly from our parents or our grandparents, that you had to do a thing that was more grounded in reality, like fishing, or, you know, or having an office job. I mean, that was the first thing I trained to do was information. I trained it off, because I just thought that's the kind of thing, because I quite liked English. I thought, oh, well, that's the kind of thing I should do, rather than going, oh, you know, actually aim a little higher. You know, and I would have been a lousy secretary, I think, but of course now you've got, you know, Donna Noble is the role model.
In
Chiswick. So I think my nana was very supportive. I mean, and indeed she helped me at the start, because I didn't have any money. You know, it was in a dead end job kind of thing, and I needed a little bit of money to be able to get onto the course, the journalism course. So she was very helpful in that respect. So God bless her. And I think my mum always just worried that I wouldn't have enough money to do anything. And the best thing about being a journalist is you don't have to have money, because you just get to do everything for nothing.
It can get to a point when you become quite well known in your circles that actually, when people start inviting you to things, and then you get the lunches and you know, a few little things as well, which is quite nice.
Well, I mean, as I say, I originally moved down from Scotland to London, and when I moved here, and then suddenly realised that all of these you know, social events for entertainment journalism or whatever I was doing at the time, that, you know, there was always an event or a launch or a party or whatever, and, you know, like who was it, Quentin Crisp, I think, used to say that he used to go to all these parties so that he could have dinner, and I took it as a sort of challenge that, you know, there was a full bar, and coming from Scotland, I was like, I'm going to fill my boots, and I was very small when I moved to London, and I, you know, not so much anymore, but I've certainly eaten well. Always find the spot.
Go on, sorry.
Always find the spot by the kitchen door. The event, find the spot where the waiters come out.
Interesting.
And, you know, they say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but it's not true, really, is it?
Well, cosmically, maybe not, because then you're going to end up carrying around a few extra
karma.
Pounds, but,
there's always karma somewhere. So, I wonder if anybody's actually done that. I've got a few journo mates. I'm going to ask around, see if anyone's actually done the whole thing where they can get through the day from breakfast, 11s, lunch, post-lunch, mid-afternoon, tea, dinner, and everything else in one day, just on freebies. By attending various clients' events and what have you. Must be someone who's done it.
Or if not, then there's a challenge for you there, Darren, to see if you can achieve it.
The Who C2C challenge. We should do that. We should do that as a feature for all our guests. We'll give you a challenge, and then you go out and do it, and then let us know how.
Can you eat loads of food for us?
Sadly, budgets aren't what they used to be.
This is true, actually. Yeah. So, what was it like when you left uni then, Darren? Was it quite, how did you find it getting embarked on your career? Was it quite easy to sort of move into what you wanted to do?
Well, yeah, I was quite lucky because I when I was at uni, I was already freelancing. I had already put my, had my fingers in sort of various pies, and a lot of it was because of Doctor Who, because Doctor Who had just come back, and I was a Scottish news reporter for a publication called The Pink Paper, which was an LGBTQ newspaper, which ran for many, many years. And so I was doing the Scottish side of things, and then I was finding ways in to do other interviews and stuff. So John Barrowman came to Scotland to open I think one of his family ran a supply shop for discounting things like lights and stuff. And so I sort of said to my editor, can I go along and have a chat, do an interview? And at that point they weren't so really interested they weren't really doing as many interviews as they could have been. So I had this very fresh enthusiasm for obviously always with a Doctor Who angle for everything ridiculous. So I ended up speaking to John Barrowman and Liz Sladen quite close within each other. It was the same time when they launched they did an Invasion of the Bane. So so I just started pitching things, and so as a result, I was at uni, I was doing all this. I was going down to London back and forth to press launches and stuff, and doing interviews with various people, and and eventually I got the inevitable note from my editor to say, can we stop doing Doctor Who stuff, please?
Did you lose that note? Because I would have.
Well, it was really funny because I did do an interview with Katie Manning, who is now a very dear friend of mine, and she was doing a play. What was it called? It was something to do with Betty Davis, and so my in was it was an LGBT newspaper. Betty Davis was a gay icon. Yeah. So that was my in, and my boss didn't know until he commissioned the piece. All fine. Didn't realise, of course, that until he read the piece that Katie was Doctor Who fan. She was a bit annoyed, but I was like, oh no, it's not because of her. It's just so happens that she's in
just complete coincidence.
It just came up in conversation. I had no idea.
Oh really, Katie? You've been in Doctor Who? Wow, that's interesting.
So what happened basically was they offered me a full-time job while I was still at uni. So I was just finishing up uni, ready to go to London for this job, and it was never a thing where I thought, I never had an aspiration to do a specific kind of journalism or to go any specific place or anything. I was I really enjoyed being a mature student, because everybody else was hungover, but I was always like, I want to know the answers. And then I just thought, I'd be quite happy to work local newspaper, talking about cats in trees or whatever. And I sort of accidentally forged my own path by kind of just suggesting and pushing, and then so they offered me the role of the features editor. So so I literally finished uni, and I think the next week moved to London. Wow. But by that point, I'd already been going up and down quite a lot in Scotland and doing interviews and stuff. So I hit the ground running, really. And it was around the time of season 3 of Doctor Who onwards. Season 3, season 4, the specials, and then season 5, all of that stuff. And it was very much, and also Torchwood, Sarah Jane. So we were always on set for stuff like that, and all like other stuff like Merlin and everything. It was just anything that came along, in the flesh, being human, because it was the big sort of like push around that time, and there was all these things, and I was like, this is brilliant. I'm in my element, because there was always some angle that fitted the title rather than necessarily the person, or But for example, getting to speak to Russell quite a lot. Russell, I say it like I mean Russell T.
we know. Don't worry.
I assumed, yeah.
Or Dame, as I used to, when I was the editor of Gay Times for 10 years, and I used to always refer to Russell as Dame Russell. But so being able to just do all that stuff, it was a baptism of fire, because I didn't know any different. I'd never experienced this before. I'd never, I was just a student, and then suddenly I was just doing all this stuff, and I was just absolutely lapping it up. And the more we did of it, the bigger it became. And and it's crazy now that I think back, because I suppose it's the slight arrogance of youth, or slightly youth, that you just barge in. Like, of course we should do this. It's amazing, and everybody likes the fact that you are giving their shows or their films or whatever such coverage with such passion. And that in itself, that passion is learned from reading, as I was growing up, magazines like SFX and Doctor Who magazine, because they were always so in depth and so tailored to people like us, where we wanted to know everything, all the small, the minutiae of everything. It wasn't just some little puff piece that you get in a TV mag or whatever. No offense, TV mags, but that was, so all of that was born from that, and working on fanzines and stuff like that. I say working on, writing for them and making it myself and all that kind of stuff. So it didn't really cross my mind not to be like that. Whereas I think now, as I'm slightly older, I'd probably be a bit like, oh gosh, no, couldn't be that ballsy about it. But
I was going to say, do you think if you weren't, the age you were when you were kind of getting into things, do you think you might have been a bit less kind of, just kind of gung ho about it? Do you think, like you say, you might have felt a bit more like, oh, I better be a bit more, reserved here, and
Probably, because I think even now there's kind of an established way that we in the industry are supposed to behave about certain things, and there's a sort of like a hierarchy of asking certain people, and you're not supposed to just text the showrunner and say, oh, can you help me with this, please? It is strange, because I would always be like, why the hell, because of course you're young, and you think, well, this is a stupid system. I don't know. I don't know. I think it, like I say, it stood me in good stead, and and also because I've known people in the BBC or Paramount or whatever for so long now, they also know that it all comes from a good place.
Yeah,
it's never a sort of tabloid mentality, or you're never going to spoil anything, or
you're on their side with it, aren't you?
And absolutely.
That element of trust, isn't it?
Good steed. Yeah, it's good for you then, and it's that trust and puts you in good steed with them. Yeah. As a bit of an aside, Paul, I know there's another question, but Darren, how do you feel that the magazine industry has changed since you got into it? Like, obviously, like I remember my dad wrote for Trout Fisherman magazine, and during lockdown and stuff, it was really difficult for that mag, as it was for many others. But so aside from that kind of thing, how has it changed with the way the advance of digital and stuff like that? And do you think the way you kind of got into things, how would it be for someone today?
I think there's always going to be a print element to everything. I think I always say it's like vinyl.
Yes, I like that.
You'd never have told me that vinyl would come back.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Yeah.
And now it's outselling every other format. So and that's great. And I love the collector nature of it, because it appeals to that.
But that's
nerdy fan
side. It's people like us, I think, isn't it? Like we've said this before, Paul. Well, look at the Doctor Who collection sets. Stick something in a lovely box, with a little leaflet and all of that, and just take my money, take it now. Same with an album and stuff, and buying a magazine and stuff. It's something about touching it and having something that you can keep forever. And streaming stuff's great, but
it's never yours, is it?
It's never yours.
It's just kind of renting, an ongoing rental for stuff.
In fact, a friend told me recently he had Apple Music, and he said, I had thousands and thousands of songs on there, and then he cancelled his subscription, and then he went to look at his music, and he didn't have anything anymore. because it was all gone as he no longer had the subscription. He said, "Turn out I didn't own any of it," and I was like, "That's what CDs are for. Put them in iTunes."
There's a lesson to be had there.
There's a lesson there, yes. Anyone who's
I'm a firm advocate for physical media. I strongly, I will keep buying. I will buy a film, like you say with Doctor Who. I think I've bought it in every format that it's ever been. I'm sure that the Blu-rays won't be the last.
I'd like to think that's as good as it will get, but there'll be a holographic projection version in another, 15 years.
It'll all be on little crystals that you just slot into your heads or something,
or plug into the back of your head, with a cable.
There won't be cables, mate.
Well, it's lovely talking to you. Bye.
It's the future, I promise you.
Behave yourself.
Yeah, I don't doubt you. But there's something to be said. I think, we as fans, we want the definitive thing. We want the complete thing. We want everything. We want every single. I think they just released. They've just released the Hellraiser movie, the new one, on this country on disc, and they're only bringing it out on DVD. And I was kind of like, what's the point of that?
Really?
People that want these things, they want to have
they want the best.
They're willing to pay more. We want everything. We want behind the scenes, every single continuity thing, everything.
Yeah, you want it all,
Make it the definitive collector's edition or something. Even if you stick another 10, 15 quid on it, it's fine. We'll do it. I mean, we were speaking to.
Did you see?
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, did you see recently that companies like Disney and stuff want to kind of kickstart their legacy media divisions again and start putting stuff back out?
Realise the value of it.
Blu-ray and stuff. They've realised, because streaming, like I said, it's great, but don't really make the money, in the same way. So maybe I'll finally get WandaVision on Blu-ray.
It baffles me that these things aren't, because there's so many. I see these things on eBay. I see people selling like the Mandalorian or whatever. I'm like, I know that's not out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've seen the same. Yeah,
and no one's cracking down on it. And but so there's a market for it. But I said this. Somebody else posted this on Twitter, and I said to them, well, I'm 100% behind it. I want a proper, massive Return to Oz box set with everything in it. It's a no-brainer, isn't it? Stuff like that. It's just it's such a strange thing that everybody leaned towards streaming and everything was going to be in the sky. You didn't have to fill your shelves, but maybe we want to fill our shelves.
Totally.
There are shelves.
I love my shelves. My shelves. This is my. It's not a legacy. It's a cave. It's the place. It's my man cave. Yeah, it's full of all my favourite stuff, and I like to hold it. And and it's kind of weird. I mean, in my situation, right, I'm the kind of techie geeky nerd type. In a relationship, my wife isn't at all. She doesn't do technology, right, apart from just general stuff. But she has a Kindle, and she won't read physical books anymore. She's so used to the Kindle, and to be fair, she does have difficulty, with reading small print in a book anyway. She's got dodgy eyes.
She's behind you.
But
that's Freya's ears were burning, and then she just appeared behind you.
She's outside there. But for me, who loves my technology and I love the convenience of streaming and everything else, I have to have a book, an actual physical book. I can read on a Kindle screen or something, but I don't enjoy it. It's like there's something lacking.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
It's not. And I love my, I've got my Spotify and Amazon Music accounts, and I enjoy again just plugging it into the dock behind me, but that piece of crap Bose thing at the top there. But downstairs, I've got my turntable, my speakers and my really smart headphones, and that's just the sound you get from that. You just can't get it from streaming, even in high resolution sound, audio. You just don't get that warmth and that volume of sound from the stuff you can't even physically hear, but it creates a space for it. You just don't get it. I love the physical stuff.
And it's like a streaming 4K is never the same quality as a disc 4K.
No, it's not. It's nice, and you're right. It's a lot of it depends on the bit rate as well, doesn't it? So anyway, we're getting blah blah blah. Well off track.
And also, if your internet goes down, what do you do?
Well, look at Jeff at the start of this podcast. We were completely bollocksed. We didn't know what to do. If we were in the same room together, it wouldn't even be an issue.
Every time we go out with the family, my wife plugs her iPhone into the car and she brings up her Apple Music, and we're getting into a song, and then the signal goes, and and I say, If you bought a CD and put it on there,
if you bought a CD, that wouldn't have happened, you know. Back in my day.
Kids go, what's the CD? They don't know. So,
oh no! Don't start that.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's true though, because so many physical things now. People are starting to go, well, what is that? What is a DVD or whatever? And I think magazines will come full circle, and they'll be really. I mean, they already are collectible. I buy so many magazines that are ridiculously expensive. But there's something, you know, there is something to be said about the physicality of holding a magazine, and it has been difficult over, like you say, like, you know, over the lockdown particularly. We just very much. I was fairly new, I think, to SFX. I'd been there just under a year, I think, and so I was sort of steeling myself to do anniversary stuff and perhaps, you know, rejig the magazine ever so slightly or whatever, and then we just had to put everything on hold because it was just really about keeping the thing going, because so many magazines, especially genre ones, they disappeared. They just stopped producing them, whereas we kept going every month. And even that in itself is quite hard, because if nobody was making TV shows or films, what do you write about? So I mean, we did all right because genres, you know, we proper nerds, we just went, you know, look at the shelves, we've got all these, there's hundreds of millions of things we can write about. So but obviously sales have really suffered for magazines generally, particularly since COVID. Because, you know, the footfall is probably not as much as it was, the cost of living, all that kind of stuff. So magazines can be considered to be a luxury purchase. But the other thing, of course, with SFX is that it's been around so long, it's nearly 30 years, is that people have kind of grown up and moved away from it, and now it's come in vogue or whatever. Everything's really popular. All of these things that, like I said before, weren't cool when we were young, that's it now. So
it's very different, isn't it?
There is a magazine right there that people don't really necessarily know exist, that's got everything in it, that's got all of these shows and films and nerd stuff and stuff like that, you know. I say all of that, you know, with love, because I class myself as a nerd and a geek, but it's for me, it's just trying to sort of get it out there underneath people's eyes and say, well, look, all of this stuff is here. And so it's always a constant struggle, I think, to keep magazines going and keeping them relevant. And like you say, digital stuff has impacted it, because even quite a lot of the time now, when you're working with people in the industry, they're not necessarily geared towards magazines that are produced a month in advance. They're all about what somebody can dance to on TikTok to promote it, or or what event they can have the night before the show airs, that they can have influencers turn up. And you're like, well, actually, people, that's all good and well for one demographic, but there's a group of people who just want to sit and read really in-depth things.
Well, you know, going back to what you said earlier, Darren, you know, I think that's something that magazines will always have in their favour, is that, you know, like you go online and you know, you go to a film website or whatever, and you read a bit about, you know, a new film, for example, and it's a couple of quotes and a few sound bites and stuff, but it, you know, it's like you were saying, it's a puff piece. There's nothing kind of meaty and in depth to it, whereas that's what the magazines, you know, can offer. And so for, you know, geeks like us, and, you know, who really love the stuff, that's where you can go, you know, before the, you know, the big old making of book comes out, to get more from it all and get stuck into it. Which is
and
great.
Quite often, I have to say, I do feel like it's sort of like my duty in a way, because there's not always going to be a making of a book. Like there used to be when we were kids. There used to be the Starlog magazines or whatever. Every film had a proper making of magazine. And these days, you are hard pushed to get 4 or 5 photographs from a new film to promote that new film. And you think back to the days when, you know, Starlog were doing these things, and it would just be rammed full of pictures from Aliens or Dick Tracy or whatever. So a lot of these things don't ever get to that part of having a big making of book. So I kind of think quite often I go, right, okay, there's a niche genre show, and I want to do a behind the scenes piece, and I want to speak to people who've made the props, and that's kind of almost like a lost art in a way, because when we ask for it, people don't understand what we're asking for, and you say it's a behind the scenes, and they're like, but it's been on, and like, but we still want to know. Like, it's weird because grew up with the Doctor Who mentality of needing to know everything, and that is where it comes from. And and my colleagues at SFX are the same. We love that stuff. We love to be able to see all the things that you're never going to see anywhere else, because there's a million photographs get taken on these things, and they just never go anywhere. You think, well, what a waste,
Yeah. It's like behind the scenes filming and stuff, isn't it? Tons of it. And, most of it never comes out. I mean, I must say that, Marvel have done some quite good behind the scenes docs on Disney Plus, but we don't get those on disc releases anymore. But all that stuff for years, you just get a couple of seconds worth in 2-3 minute promos that they put out, and you used to think you've obviously filmed it all, and the pictures and stuff. And I love it. I love seeing all that sort of stuff.
Well,
anyway, let's. Should we go back to another scheduled?
Go on then. Well, actually, this ties in quite nicely, actually, because I was going to ask Darren about being a contributor to the somewhat short-lived Doctor Who Insider magazine, and how that came about.
I love that. I think any magazine that does giant posters of the Rani deserves full support.
Definitely.
That came about because I know John Ainsworth very well.
Oh yes, okay,
He was the editor, and I can't remember why at that point, because I was working for another magazine at the time. I wasn't freelance or anything. It was just something I was doing on top of my normal job of editing a magazine. And but if someone says to you, "Oh, do you want to go and interview loads of old Doctor Who people?" You're never going to be like, "Oh no."
You're not going to say no to that, are you really? Find a way to make it happen.
It was when they were still filming the early Matt Smith stuff at the time as well. So I was on, like I say, I was on set quite a bit actually. For whether it was for my day job or whether it was for Insider, I would be in Cardiff quite a lot. And I always loved Cardiff. You get off the train and you just feel like you can breathe. The air just feels pure.
Clean.
So I think, and I'm sure that someone probably would correct me on this, but I was led to believe that at that time, I think the BBC were perhaps looking to take Doctor Who magazine back in house, and I think that they were making Insider as a sort of like this is what we kind of want it to be like, and I think that quite rightly a lot of the show, the current and previous showrunners said, oh well, if you take away the license from Panini, we won't work with you. I mean, this is all hearsay. It could all be absolute nonsense. But as I understood it, I think Insider was supposed to only be available in America, and then they started slowly bringing it out here as well. And
that's right, because I remember seeing it advertised, I think maybe in the Titan comics, and I thought, oh, that looked cool, but it wasn't readily available over here to start with. It was a lot
simpler, I think. It was. I think Doctor Who magazine was, as I say, like growing up, it was quite a dense publication for me, and I got quite a lot from it, and it was always my kind of inspiration. But I was always trying to give too much copy to our designers, and I'd be like, "Oh, can we just make the text smaller?" I think there was one point Doctor Who magazine, it felt like you had to have a magnifying glass to be able to read it. So Insider was kind of a simpler version of that, I think, and a sort of a more of a gateway for newer fans rather than sort of bogged down with too much complicated older stuff or really in-depth features about things people were like, what the hell is this? So, but I don't know why it didn't last. I think perhaps maybe that all tied in with the Panini license being renewed to Doctor Who magazine. And perhaps as well, I don't know, maybe the audience was slightly waning for publications, because eventually Doctor Who Adventures went away as well. But I worked for Doctor Who Adventures quite a bit as well, actually, and that was always great fun.
Was that again freelancing? Was it?
Yeah, it was freelance. I look back and think, God, I did a lot of work. I didn't necessarily need to do. But I liked it, and I knew all these people. Like I knew John Ainsworth, and I knew Paul Lang on Doctor Who Adventures, and they're friends of mine. And yeah, I just thought, oh, this is great. I'm getting to really write about things that I really love, and um, yeah, I just don't know. I
And
didn't really question it really. I just thought, oh,
yeah.
this is a good thing to do.
And I
Yeah.
suppose you're getting
So
involved in that world as well. So you're meeting people, you're making connections,
Yeah.
you're getting your foot indoors, and just sort of
mm.
building your friendships and your alliances. And
Yeah, I think everywhere I've been in life, I've always had this kind of Doctor Who group. It makes it sound like a sort of self-help thing, but it's not. Or maybe it is,
well, maybe it is. Yeah.
C-
So
Companions Anonymous.
yeah, there's always been a group of people that are just they're friends of mine, and our common link is Doctor Who, and that's great, because we don't just sit and talk about Doctor Who. I mean, obviously we do, but not just that. So yeah, it's just always been the way that Doctor Who has opened so
Yeah.
many doors, and not in an intentional way that I've kind of gone, I'm gonna use this as an excuse or a
Yeah.
reason to
Yeah.
try and get to this. It just it just happened to be that I just meet all these people, and
Yeah.
we end up doing bizarre things together, and yeah, starting way
So
back from
let's
fanzine.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
sorry, Paul. What were you going to say?
I was just saying, it just from starting way back in fanzines to now
Yeah.
editing
Yeah. Yeah.
SFX, yeah, it was never like this is my path I'm going to go to. It was just I kind of just drunkenly stumbled along it and laughed along the way,
And,
and
and it's
then
worked out
it's
happily.
all worked out fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
And no sharks
It's
involved
funny.
either.
No sharks. Well, except for
No,
that flying one in Christmas Carol.
that's true.
So were you always? Let's go back to the beginning bit. Were you always a fan of Doctor Who? And what? Which I think is the answer is yes.
Yeah, we're getting that.
What
Yeah.
inspired? What was the moment for you that you were like, oh, this is it. This is my thing.
Oh, I don't know. I know. I
There's
remember
a
my
question.
first memory.
Yeah.
My first memory is the Marshmen coming out of the water in Full Circle.
Oh, full circle.
And
Yeah.
I think anything coming out of water is quite scary, and so memorable. But I remember the Davison era. I mean, so I must have. So yeah, it must have been season 18 that I must have been just watching it on and off, or I don't really, because I think I always loved science fiction,
Yeah.
which is handy considering. So I don't know. I don't know whether my mum got me into
Yeah.
it, or just maybe thought I would like it. I can't really remember where it came from, but I just fell completely into it, like properly. One of those things where I was just, from want of a better word, obsessed with it as a kid, and had the books, what little toys there were, and even then it still wasn't that big a thing. Like when it came back in 2005, it was huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say probably the highest it's been since maybe Dalek Mania. I'm
Yeah,
not
I think you're
sure.
probably right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's probably some stats somewhere which maybe bear that out, aren't they? But it
I'm sure
feels
somebody will
like
write
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I think
Yeah.
it wasn't till probably like the sort of the fan gene in me kept growing and growing. I was buying the magazines, buying books, like getting that encyclopedic knowledge of everything. And then I think it was season 25 I started recording it off the telly.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
rewatch
Yeah.
it or whatever. And I think that's what tipped me
Yeah.
into the proper. Like, I don't know, that something just sort of clicks in your brain, doesn't it? You're like, it's hard to explain
I
it.
think,
It's,
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
So
Actually, I'm sort of seeing parallels with the kind of stages that I went through as well, and it is very similar. I mean, slightly earlier. I think I'm probably older than you guys, but when I started getting, when I got to the point where I thought, well, I can call myself a fan of this. It wasn't any conscious boundary that you cross. It just seems to suddenly, it just seems to be that you just grow into the program, and it kind of ever more steadily consumes you in a way, but you enjoy it.
One day, it's all you think about.
It is because, and I remember when I was at school and I was in I was in my sort of, was it the 50th? Yeah, it was 50th. because I was doing GCEs and what have you. And part of what I had to do was build a computer database, and of course my computer database is going to be on Doctor Who. Why not? But it helped me get through that subject, and it made that subject enjoyable. And in the meantime, then, like you, it's like I'm starting to record the episodes on off the TV as well. So I think when it got to Colin Baker, with season 22 with the Attack of the Cybermen and all that, that's when I started really obsessively setting the video and watching it at the same time, and then really just waiting and to get back onto it to make sure I got the very start of it and the very end, you know, so it's properly bookend. There's none of this sort of it cut out halfway through. It had to be complete. Otherwise there's trouble. Or maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, I think that's quite a regular story. Yeah. I used to obviously tape everything in a sense, like right to the final credits, and my father just couldn't understand. I don't know why he thought that was important or made any difference or made any money. That he thought we should not do that. But I also because that day, you know, those days we didn't have computers in our pockets and we didn't have videos in our rooms or whatever. So I would hold a cassette player up to the TV and record
TV speaker.
Yeah. So then I'd be able to listen to the episodes. If I couldn't watch them, I know word for word. And actually, it's weird because there are certain points in Doctor Who episodes where I hear a sort of phantom in my head, because at the same time as I was recording it my mum would shout, you know, "Can you walk Toby, please?" or whatever, and that's the dog. He didn't just. So
just little brother or something, no?
Yeah, there are certain things that because I listen to them so much, you know, that I have a sort of my own. I wish I still had those tapes. Actually, it's a shame, but you know, as you go through, you
little bit of childhood captured there.
Yeah.
On tape. Yeah.
But
so we.
Well, for Lost Generations as well, isn't it? Like the missing episodes reconstructed from off-air recordings by people doing exactly that. Literally hold the mic up to the telly and record it onto a tape, and we all enjoy the benefits of that. So it's weird in a way that these little kind of geeky idiosyncrasies that we all do, you know, to some degree, is actually pays off later down the line, you know.
It's come back to help us later,
rather than the corporate decision of let's junk everything because nobody's going to watch it ever again. You know, that's the rational, sensible, adult corporate decision to make.
So did you say you've got it print this week?
Yeah, it's because of Easter. We have to go early.
Go early, right.
So, yeah. So yeah,
you seem quite calm.
Well, I've been, you know, it's like my first rodeo. I've done this so often.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we still don't have a cover. You know, I mean, we've got options, but it's that. I used to get really wound up about making magazines, but SFX. I don't know. SFX has been a bit of a lifesaver for me. I have to say, it's
really
getting to do this is just. I still don't really believe that I get to do this for my job.
Man, just enjoy it though, because you know it's brilliant.
It's brilliant, yeah.
I think. Do you know? I mean, SFX is one of those magazines that I think. I mean, I'm pretty sure anyone who enjoys genre TV, cinema, books, games, everything else must have at least read at least one issue, if not many, over the years. And I remember, was it mid-90s when it came out? Was it 95, 96? Something. It's coming up 30 years, isn't it? So it probably was. And I remember when I started buying it because 95, 96, because it was when the Doctor Who TV movie was in production. And I just left university for about a year or so, and I just remember seeing it in Doctor Who magazine and in SFX, and I just wanted as much information, as much on-set photography, as much behind the scenes, as much Paul McGann and filming in Canada and all the rest of it, because it was suddenly just there. And and SFX was, I think they had a couple of exclusives, which I think Doctor Who magazine were a little bit pissed off about actually at the time. I'm not sure. Maybe that's just my memory sort of playing up a bit, but.
Do you know, I remember buying SFX, over the years, and bought it once when Buffy was on the cover, Sarah Michelle Gellar, and my mum saw it in my bedroom, and she picked, and my mum picked it up, and she went, "What's this magazine? Sex?" And
looks a bit like sex.
Yeah, I said, no, that's not what it's called. They've just put her head, conveniently in the way of the bottom of the F, so I had to explain.
Yeah,
that I
we're
wasn't
still
buying a
getting
magazine
that.
called Sex. Yeah.
Although I think the type, the fonts kind of changed a little bit now, so it's not quite as obviously kind of sex and everything else. So
I have been trying to get that changed since I started. So I
really?
I think Ian and particularly John, who's our art director, he probably doesn't because it's going to be too much work. But yeah, it's it's been that logo for a while, and I think it's time for a bit of a refresh. But, it is sometimes people do say, production people will come back and say, we're not quite happy because it looks like this, and you're like, yeah, I know, I can't change that. It's nearly 30 years old now, but maybe I can find a way.
30 years old,
yeah.
There's always a way. So let's go to a question from one of our Twitter followers. Now, Jonathan Wilkins, who is at jdog_Wilkins on Twitter, asks, Darren, do you still have Carol Ann Ford's costume from Shakedown, and who has been your most difficult interview? Well, that's two questions. Let's take the first of those. Do you still have Carol Ann Ford's costume from Shakedown? Did you ever have it? Is this a modern myth, or is it true?
What's
it
the
is
story
true.
Here?
It's absolutely true. I went to the Dreamwatch convention in, I want to say 94.
Oh my goodness!
And part of that,
I remember that.
I don't know, you probably remember. They were going to do Downtime, and then they didn't do it, and it got put back, I think. So they had to, because they'd built this convention, Dreamwatch convention, around the launch of this new film. They didn't have the film, so they had to go and make a new one, and they did Shakedown, which is, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I love Shakedown. It is so good.
It's Sontarans. I
love it. Carol Ann Ford is having a good old chew on any scenery she can get hold of. I love it. So they had a big auction, and I got Zarel's Emerald Green Liquid Lame catsuit.
Fantastic.
And then, this is so bad, but I still have it, but it's not in the greatest of conditions. But she did sign it for me, but I can't see it anymore because I did used to wear it out clubbing in Edinburgh.
Brilliant.
It was particularly good for ABBA nights, I have to say. So I do still have that,
fantastic.
and that is the truth. I love Shakedown. I think it's great. I love Downtime, but Downtime can be a bit long.
Yeah.
Have you watched that?
I haven't seen both of them for a long old time, actually. But I like the Sontarans in Shakedown. They redesigned the faces on them, didn't they? Their heads, and I kind of like that. They're sort of like when you compare modern day Klingons to the Klingons of the 1960s, it's almost like that kind of thing. Like, we don't talk about that anymore, It's just we don't. So tell us also, Darren, about your Dalek collection. Is it quite?
We need to go back
impressive?
we need to go back to who was your most difficult interviewee.
Oh, okay.
We will beep out any names.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's any secret that Slockhard Channing and I don't get along. But from Doctor Who, I don't think that there's been anybody particularly difficult from Doctor Who. Everyone's been really quite lovely, really. You'd think, particularly because when you're a fan of something and people say, "I never meet your idols," or whatever, and you think, "Oh God, should I do it? Should I not?" And I think when it becomes part of the job, you don't really have a choice, And I don't think I've ever met anyone in the Doctor Who world that has been a problematic, or there's been some hilarious interviews over the years that for other people, but I've thankfully never had. Everyone's always come from a place of love.
They all seem to, don't they? Like they've all enjoyed being a part of it and the fandom, and
Yeah, the people we've interviewed, they've all been lovely, haven't they?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Which is always good. So Darren, about this Dalek collection then.
Yeah, you seem concerned that who_FX on Twitter only wants to marry you to inherit it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Well, I do. Doesn't everyone have a Dalek collection? It just becomes part of the sort of the background. Yeah. That's probably just an assumption, isn't it? That any Doctor Who fan
don't mind the Dalek.
They just know that that's what they're going to get when you die. They're going to be like,
yeah, I'm going
to have to leave express notes to say, like, don't just discard these things because they're all precious things.
Yes, it's true. Yeah,
because
how many make up the collection? What's this
plastic tat? But actually, you go, well, this is actually very rare.
Yeah,
whatever. It's a
we know it's not tat, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, the little Daypoles and the Rollikins, if you've got any of those things. But you just imagine, I could just imagine my mum sort of finding these or something and saying, well, that's going in the bin. And you're like, oh my God, no! Oh, my Rollikins have gone. That's terrible. No.
I want them all left to auction, and then that's all going to go to the Dogs Trust.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes I've stumbled upon old Dalek toys in like antique shops and stuff. You guys might have done. I live in Horsham, where Raymond Cusick was from, and the museum here has a little display bit, and it's got a Tom Baker annual and a couple of old Dalek figures in, and they're not in the best condition, but it's quite nice. I think they need to update it a little bit actually. But yeah, it's fun finding old ones around and about. Yeah. So how many make up your collection?
I was going to say, I do probably have a lot more than would be necessary, and I've got a lot of TARDISes as well.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
I don't know. I just I refuse to feel guilty.
You don't need. There's no guilt. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they are.
There's no guilt here.
Kid, it wasn't cool.
No, not at all.
We're all the same. Do you know, my wife, when we'd not long been together, we were not married at the time, but she bought me, a cardboard TARDIS cutout thing. It wasn't quite life size. You had to kind of slightly crouch down to.
Oh, so it was a big thing. It was a big.
A big one.
Little...
Yeah. And she said, "I'll let you put it up in the living room." And I thought, I got to marry this one. I'm not sure where it's gone now. Actually, it might be in the loft somewhere. But yeah, now we've got kids. It's not allowed out. So, but for a brief while, it was prime place in the living room, and people loved it. So
when I was a kid, I used to sleep in the original TARDIS tent. I think it's the Decker. Decker.
Right. Yeah.
We used to put a cushion inside it, and I used to go to sleep in it, so I can still smell the plastic and imagine that sort of slight blue from the little window at the back.
Yeah, there's a light coming. And
I think that eventually one day, in fact, fairly recently, I mean, it survived quite a long time, and then it ended up on my balcony, which makes me sound a lot grander than I am. It's more of a fire escape than anything like that. And I think it just blew away one day. So, I mean, I imagine that some poor person in London was just having a lovely day, and then just got whacked
hit
on
by
the
the
head
TARDIS.
with this old plastic, TARDIS tent. But I always kind of think, I should probably buy another one. But then I just kind of go, well, actually, do I really need one? Probably yes.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not need; it's just want.
Yeah.
You can't explain it.
No, that's it. It goes beyond a want. It's a can't do without it. So, is there anything that you need to complete your Dalek collection at the moment? Like, what's the Grail?
I don't have that anymore. I don't.
Oh, does that mean you got it?
No. I don't, it's not. It's just. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like the other day, I went looking for. I've been looking on eBay for ages for a particular horror, because I'm really into horror as well. For a particular horror action figure, and it's always really expensive. And I was like, oh god, never going to get this figure. And then I was just moving things around on the top of one of my shelves, and I've got it. I didn't realize I have it. So, I'm just at a point now of kind of thinking. I mean, I shouldn't laugh about this, but I'm in the process of emptying my mum's house, and every time I go through a room and I start laughing because I'm like, why have you got all this stuff? And so I'm now at a point in life when I kind of think, oh, I don't want that. I don't want somebody else to have to do that for me, which is a bit maudlin, but it's a fairly recent thing. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any sort of holy grail Doctor Who items, I guess. I'm trying to think now. I mean, when you're a kid and you want everything and you can't have it, because you're a kid, and then when you're an adult and you like, I can have anything I want.
Yeah,
pretty much.
As long as I pay for it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Remain within the law.
So yeah, I just. Especially since the and I'm going to sound really old. Like since the internet came along, you can find all this stuff, and you just kind of, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? You're almost trying to buy back a nostalgia, like buy back moments and time, by buying these things, and it's a strange thing, and I'm sure there's a whole.
It's stuff that makes you happy, isn't it? And I think as you get older and life can get harder, and the world is pretty awful sometimes. These things that for these things that bring you joy, I think it's important. To and they look cool, so why not? And like you say, now you can get anything you want except hot toys. They're really expensive, and I can't keep buying them. But
so when I was a kid, I had the Palatoy Canine. And I loved it. And I loved it. I loved it to death, basically, because it had a little record inside that you would flip over underneath. And I think I still have somewhere in my Mr. Trebus empire. Somewhere I've got the shell of it, I think. But when they brought out the character options one, like the big remote control camera, I mean, there was something, I don't know, like. Something just came alive within me. Like I was like, oh my God, like this is insane. Like they're bringing it's 2006, and they're bringing out a giant remote control.
Giant remote canine, man. Yeah.
So there's certain things which just sort of push a button in you, don't they? Like from when you're a kid, or but I don't know.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Actually, do you know what? I'm gonna grab. I'll show you this. Hold on, 1 second.
I'd love a really good Paul.
What's he done?
Here we go.
For anyone who's listening and not watching, Paul has just smashed his room up.
Left, right. Check this out. Hold on. Hey. Size of that bad boy.
Look at that.
Look at him.
Love it.
He's been.
Does it talk?
It's what? It did talk. I don't know. There's a button there somewhere. No, battery's long gone at the bottom of that. But it did. It was one of those remote control ones, right?
Yeah,
so it trundles around on the floor. And I got this. I think this is. I can't remember when, but I know my youngest daughter Freya was quite young at the time. I think she's about 1, maybe 2 years old. And I used to steer it around, and she used to freak out.
Really?
Big time. It really scared the life out of her.
And
of course, it's just a
why.
flashing light thing. And you got Nick Briggs' voice going, "Exterminate!" because it's the deep, booming Dalek commander voice, or master, whatever it is. So that's my one and only Dalek, actually.
Really?
But he's a big boy.
Yeah.
You're kidding? How can you have one Dalek?
Because he's big enough for all the Daleks. and I have. I see. I think for me, actually, it's the Doctor Who books have always been the thing that I always wanted, and that's my collector obsession, if you like. So I've got a whole stack of Target novels and New Adventures and the Eighth Doctor books and all the DVDs and the Blu-rays, and it's like what I said to me the other day when the season 9 box set came through, and I go, yeah, I've got my season 9, and she's gone, like, you need it. I went, well, I do need it. Absolutely, I need it. Yeah, you got enough DVDs out, but I don't have this DVD, do I?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Jeff? Was the thing that you were looking for?
Oh, well, I'd love the like, I can't think, like the junkyard Dalek, that you had in the Chibnall era, the black one that they made. I've got the Funko Pop of the Recon Dalek, junkyard Dalek, whatever they called it, and I'd love one of the black versions of it. And talking to the Funko Pops, I really love that Doctor Who range, and it's sadly incomplete. They stopped making them. I got a couple of the older Doctors, but they stopped. I've got 1 and 4. I think, and 9, and then they stopped doing them. So if anyone from Funko is listening, get back on it.
Well, I mean, maybe that will become a thing again, because once the series is reinvigorated, people will be looking for ways to. I really do believe that's going to happen. I think people are something you will start seeing that kind of merch again, and there just needs to be more of a demand for it, I think. Because it's been all over the shop for one or however many reasons, or with COVID and all kinds of things that have happened, and it not being on a regular, every year, whatever, and it not being really of a merchandisable standard. You're not really going to get an interactive frog on a chair toy. No.
Although I'd buy that,
I'd buy
Although
it.
it would.
Yeah.
If they did make it, people would buy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just kind of lend itself to that, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I think that will come. I think that they, people start going, actually, we've got licenses for these things, or they'll probably need to renew them and things like that. I mean, it seems odd to me that there's a Funko of literally everybody else. Yeah. I think if we wait long enough, there'll be Funkos of us.
Yeah. I've made a digital version of myself. I just need to get.
I bet you have, haven't you?
I have. Yeah.
He has as well. I know
just
he
need
has.
to get it turned into plastic. You can do that in Funko Hollywood. You can get yourself turned into one.
Oh, really? You can actually do that, can you?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
So
See, I've never got into the Funkos.
To go, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like Funkos. Yeah. So, Darren, you've also worked on a couple of Doctor Who books, the Doctor, His Lives and Times, which was a great book, and the brilliant book of Doctor Who, which I think I had that one as well. So tell us a little bit about those, how they came about, and what you went through to kind of to put them together.
I think was Brilliant Lives. Was that not James Goss's book?
Was it?
Yeah, James Goss and I can't remember. It was someone else as well. Wasn't it? Didn't you contribute to it though?
Yeah, but James is a friend of mine, so that's how basically I think I said to him, "Oh, I've got this if you want it," and I think because I know Clayton and Gareth, known them for a really long time. And I can't even remember how that came about. Like they just said, I think maybe because I was doing stuff already with Matt and Arthur and Karen, because I was constantly doing stuff with them.
Yeah, that's right. Brilliant. The brilliant book was there just one or was there two of them?
There was two. I didn't do the second one.
Yeah, I remember it was a really good book, and I was disappointed that they didn't carry that on because I was kind of thinking, this would be great to have this as a sort of a per season book sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah.
So that's how that came about. Was just basically, I think Clayton just said, would you do these? And I said, oh yeah, totally. I don't mind. I'm speaking to them all the time anyway. And I just assumed that I was I said, I'll do it for nothing. I'm not really bothered. And then eventually, he was like, "Oh, and here's the payment," and I was like, "Oh, wow,
even better." getting to do Doctor Who stuff and then getting paid for it.
I know, it's kind of crazy, but because at that point I was seeing them Karen, Arthur, and Matt quite a lot, because we were doing stuff for Insider, we were doing stuff for the magazines that I was working for, and then the book stuff as well. So I and my friend who did my friend Luke did the PR for season 5 onwards. He worked for Premiere at the time, so we were always out in London and stuff, and we just it's weird. And they would always it's weird now because I just took it in my stride, but I suppose it is a bit. There was one time I turned up actually to meet Luke, something unrelated, and we went to Soho. Where were we? Soho Hotel, and he didn't tell me that he was with Matt and Karen. I turned up and I was wearing, because he'd given me a BBC hoodie at the time when they did that tour. Yeah, the TARDIS on the front, and I was just like, I can't fucking. Oh, excuse my French. I can't turn up like. And I think in my bag I had an action figure of Smith, and I was like, oh, you could have warned me, but so I had to sort of like quickly remove the hoodie and hide the figure, turn it inside out to hide the figure, but nerd problems. But
we've all been there, Darren.
I used to see them quite a lot, and they would always, Matt and Karen would always call me Dazza, which was they were the only people that I would allow to do that. But I think the last time I saw Matt was where I was in a hotel in LA for a Wonder Woman junket, and I was down at breakfast, and we just bumped into each other, and he was like, "Oh, Dazza," and I was like, "Oh, great, hi."
Brilliant.
And he was there for Morbius reshoots, and funny, I'm a Marvel fan. Well, I'm a fan. I'm an old school fan. Let's say, I've always been a fan.
That's right with us. Yeah.
Rather than one of these, I just like it now because everyone else does. But,
were you there when? Sorry? Were you there when you had to explain what the Avengers are to people, who didn't know?
About
yeah. OG.
So he was there to do Morbius reshoots, and at that point, obviously, nobody had seen it, and it was pre-COVID, and I was enthusing about Spider-Man and Morbius and everything, and he just had this kind of really sheepish look, and he was like, "Oh well, I really hope you like it, mate." And weirdly enough, I actually really did. I thought it was a really good movie. I thought, because people were saying how bad it was, and actually I really enjoyed it. But
I haven't seen it yet. Actually,
I
think there does seem to be a swathe of negativity about it, which I don't normally respond to. I'd rather just usually make up my own mind.
I mean, I like Jared Leto. He's always pretty good, and the concept of it looks good. So I must catch it at some point. Yeah. We've got some more questions about SFX in a minute. We've just got one Doctor Who one here quickly. What would you love to see in the future of the show, and what's exciting? What's exciting you about what's coming next?
Oh wow! What would I like to see? I'm just so happy that that there is such an excitement and enthusiasm for it, because I remember those days, the early days when New Who began, and everyone just being everywhere, and just it was incredible. It was an incredible time, and everyone talking about it and making the newspapers and all that kind of stuff. So for it to have that buzz again, so exciting, and that's on a personal level before you even get to an SFX level, because it was quite difficult. As with, I think any publication will tell you, Doctor Who magazine or the TV listings or whatever, it's quite difficult to do. It was quite secretive for a while. So whereas I'd been quite used to quite a lot of access through the end of Russell's era, and then through Stephen's time, we were quite spoiled in that respect, that we would get all this stuff, and then it was very quiet, and you couldn't really talk about it, or you couldn't get access or whatever.
What caused all that? Do you think? What, just to keep secrets, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the reason. But I think there's a you can take that too far, and people kind of like the general public kind of go, "Oh, is that still on?"
That's the danger, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think I'm just excited for the fact that I mean, I love Russell. I've known him for years through working in gay press. And he and I, this is really bad, but when I started at SFX, he's one of the first people I told when I got that job. I was like, "You're never going to believe they're giving me this job." And so obviously he and I were chatting, but been chatting about like other shows, and we talk about television quite a lot, and just what was happening with Doctor Who, because there was one time when we did I can't remember which special it was, but we did a Dalek cover, and the day before our cover came out, the Radio Times had the same picture on the cover, and Russell was quite surprised at that, and so I would always just tell him like everything that was happening with like what was happening with what I couldn't get for Doctor Who, and like what we couldn't do, but also other stuff like what was happening with Star Trek or whatever. And then it was really funny because I had no idea, and I don't think he did either until till during the lockdown, that he was going to come back to it. We were just talking about it like it was like fans do. And, so then afterwards he was like, when he came back, I was like, oh shit. I've been saying all of these things to him for like a few years or whatever. He's like, I told Julie everything. But he's such an advocate for SFX. He's a reader, he's a fan, and he's genuinely, he's such a good person. He's been very to me personally over the years. So I'm just glad that it has a team of people who are trying to not exploit. That's not the word I'm looking for. They're trying to engage with every angle that they can.
Yes, pull in all the opportunities, right, and explore everything that it can do now. Because
they're looking at not just TV stuff, but as well, and how media has moved on, I have such fond memories of that whole era, 2005 onwards, and that how it crossed over into the mainstream. That I really hope that that's something that will happen again. And but I don't know what I would like to have as a spin-off.
I was going to say, do you think we're going to see any spin-offs?
Oh, I think that's definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
I think because what was it? Russell said that in GQ, didn't he? Like he said that he looked at
And I think there's a lot of buzz around Gemma Redgrave being in Cardiff, isn't it?
A unit series would be good.
Yeah, they're filming. They're not filming any special, but they've done those, haven't they? They're filming just general stuff now.
Yeah. What are you asking us for? You know more than we do.
Hey, I've not been on set, I have to say. So Russell, if you're listening,
and invite us as well. We'll tag along.
We'll come as well. I can drive. I can get to Cardiff.
I'll make the tea. I can do really smashing cups of tea.
I do good coffee.
Here's the thing: they were filming down the road from me when they did the Tenant specials, and I didn't know. So I thought it'd be really weird if I was just like in the crowd going, Russell, it's me.
That's it.
I just thought it was really unprofessional. And
hi Russell, do you remember me? It's me, Darren. Hi.
It's me.
He'd have been like, oh God, no, it's him again. So I didn't bother, and I know that there were fans there, and everyone was filming and watching stuff, but I was just as geeky as anybody else. I was just getting it all online. I was like, thinking this is amazing. It's so weird because it literally is just a few stops away on the train, and I could have gone, but for the first time in my life, because it's actually my professional thing, I thought I can't really do that because it's that to me is a bit tabloidy. If we're not invited
to paparazzi
so I don't know. I think it's weird because they did have that they had a universe before MCU was a thing, and without even sort of knowing it, and that was brilliant. It was just so ahead of its time, and but now, gosh, I don't know. We were watching some, like, speaking of James Goss and I was at his house at the weekend watching the Canine series, not just the whole thing. We were just a few of us watching various things, and one of them was the Canine series.
Well, the animated one, the Australian one,
yes,
that one, yeah.
So just we were. I mean, it was on in the background. We were having a laugh, but not at it.
It was all like shh, canines on, shh. Anyone speaks, I kill them.
I think it was fine until he transformed into the new one. Then we were all like, "Oh no,
what is that?"
We were kind of discussing like, what would you like to see? And I just don't know. Like, I think
it's wide open, isn't it? It could be pretty much anything.
I think something like Absalom Dark would be amazing.
Dalek Killer.
Proper adult, like Torchwood was an adult show. If you did Absalom Dark, Dalek Killer, that would be amazing. You don't have to have. It doesn't have to be this bogged down with
all the continuity now. Yeah.
You could have a monster story.
Yeah.
But it doesn't need to have the Doctor in it, or like Star Wars is doing to sort of greater or lesser. I think the brilliant thing is I know that they will do something that none of us would have thought. Because they know now how things have changed in streaming with the Star Wars stuff and Star Trek, being that thing that it is, this juggernaut now. That who would have? I mean, I've always loved Star Trek, but who would have thought? Yeah. Who would have thought it was going to come back this way?
Oh no, yeah. I can't. But to be honest, I always thought Star Trek had kind of just petered out in the 90s and early 2000s with Enterprise, which I mostly liked, but it just. Channel 4 killed it. Channel 4, I'll tell you what, any makers of genre TV, right, put anything on Channel 4, you are killing the show completely. Because you just know what's going to happen. They'll give it some kind of, we've got this new thing and it's going to be great and we love it and it's going out prime time, all the rest of it. Before 6 episodes are up, it will disappear till like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, and then before the second series has even got off the ground, it's been delayed, and then they show it like 3 o'clock in the morning on some random day, and then that's the end of it. And that's exactly what they did with Babylon 5, with Enterprise, with Batwoman, and sorry, a little bit of a rant there. But
no, it's true, because it needs to be day and date. You can't.
Absolutely.
Even now, when you've got a card going out on a Thursday in the States and then a Friday in the UK, it's already causing. Some people can't wait that 24 hours because they don't want to have it spoiled, because that's the way we are.
Exactly.
So it needs to be. There's some kind of event. There's event television like Game of Thrones and things like that where they literally show it at the same time as they do in America. You can choose to watch it in the morning, or it's still all changing, and I think that streaming is still changing, and I think that the partnership between BBC and Disney is brilliant. I mean, it's just going to open. I think people aren't really thinking about the positive sides of it. I mean, part of the fact that it's going to have budgets coming in, and you are more than likely going to get spin-offs and all kinds of stuff. I think the possibilities for it are so much more positive than anybody could say. Like, I hear a lot of people complaining that there's only 8 episodes, when actually there's 9 if you include the Christmas special. I think that's only going to get more. I think other things, but I think what's going to be really good about how this happens is I think that they will have learned. Like Russell, he's one of the smartest people.
He knows his shit, doesn't he? He really does.
He is going to have seen how everything has happened in streaming and what's worked and what happened, and weekly drops and not doing too many episodes. He knows exactly what.
He knows how to play it.
Yeah. So I just think I could sit here and think, we could have this, or we could have a mixed thing, or we could have Absolute Dark, or whatever.
Yeah.
Something will happen that nobody will have seen, and we'll just be like, oh my god, that's incredible. There's so many options now for companions and all different things, and like the way he did it before, like with the season 4 finale.
That was great.
So many possibilities, but and I think a Dalek series just would be great. I think
that would be awesome, wouldn't it? That would almost like realise Terry Nation's dream of its own Dalek thing. You know, Dalek Empire, I suppose, is the closest we've got with with Big Finish stuff.
Yeah,
closest we've got to that.
There was an animation series online.
Oh yeah, there was on YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah, my friend Chris did.
Yeah, I can't remember what that was called, but yeah, that was.
I think it was just Daleks or something, wasn't it?
Maybe,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say, do you know what? It's almost like I don't know what it's. Maybe you know more than I do on this, right? But it does feel to me, because when you're talking about Star Trek and Star Wars, and we've got all the MCU stuff going on as well, it just feels like we're in another. Can you call it a golden age? I don't know, but there is such choice of all this genre stuff, and again, when you think back to early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, when nobody was making sci-fi anymore. It was dead and buried. Doctor Who had been cancelled because all we apparently wanted as an audience was soap operas and game shows and shit like that all the time. And and now we've got so much choice. Yeah. And with all the wealth of content, there's going to be an element of it which is perhaps not that great, but it's always got its audience. There's always an audience for that stuff that perhaps it doesn't quite hit the levels that a lot of us would like to see. It's not perhaps Game of Thrones type level or Doctor Who level or Star Wars, but there's little shows in there somewhere where they're pulling people through, and there's so much of it now, and so much of it actually really is quality stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. We've never had it so
astonishingly good.
Never had it so good in many ways.
You can imagine my problems at SFX now.
Yeah, what do you cover? Yeah.
There's just too much.
Talking of the mag again, but how is it all going at the moment? Like, is it difficult picking what you put in an issue? How do you kind of how do you choose, and do you get content easily, and what's the sort of general situation?
Is it buoyant?
Yeah,
I think we're still we can always do with a few more readers, and if anybody wants to pick up a copy, but is it easy to get content? Well, I mean, Star Trek.
Latest copy out now, folks. There you go. You can have that one for free, Darren. Hey. Where's yours, Jeff?
It hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, liar.
Sorry, Darren. Go on. What are you saying?
I think, Star Trek particularly, they've been great to work with. They've given us so much stuff.
Oh, you've had some cracking interviews, haven't you? And features on Picard and the rest of them, what have you?
Just you wait. But this is what I want to do with Doctor Who later this year, because we've not been able to do that, and I want to do my thing on it. And that is, I've never, my whole life has been building up to being able to just write about it all the time, and to be allowed to, to not have a teacher tell me that I shouldn't be writing about Doctor Who or whatever. So we are building to that, and. I am actively speaking with the BBC quite a lot, and also and with Russell, but mainly that's gossip, and not about the show, because I don't actually ask it. I don't, I just think that's a bit rude.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Unless it's in a room to specifically do that for the day. We did. We spoke to him. Ian interviewed him. Ian, the deputy editor of SFX, he interviewed him in this issue about Sarah Jane.
I was reading that.
Right. Such a good interview.
That's brilliant.
And I'd love to be a fly on the wall. But it's just, even the stuff in there that he was talking about, how they can't do a children's show, or they wanted to.
Yeah, it goes on about I was thinking about that when you were saying about the spin-offs and stuff, and it's like I was thinking back to Russell saying about the money. That's the fact that BBC just don't have any money. I don't think people realise that.
Well, that's why the Disney thing is here. That's why they're doing it. Because now they're going to be able to do these kinds of things, and but also perhaps now isn't the time to do. I think there's going to be a Star Wars animation soon just for children, and maybe that's not the right time for Doctor Who to do that. Maybe but who knows? So.
Years,
I've completely forgotten, but you asked me something quite important, I think. But
It was
Sorry, I forgot
just
as well.
sort of about
How's it going, wasn't it?
yeah,
SFX,
how's it going in general?
How's it going? Yeah, it's how you asked me how easy it was to get access. Sometimes it's very difficult, but I think because I've known these people and I've worked with them for a long time over other magazines, not just SFX, is that I kind of came in to SFX with an expectation of how the access that SFX should have. So I think that's moved things ever so slightly industry-wise for us.
Yeah, that's good.
That's more of a sort of theatrical thing rather than television, because I think with television, like historically, SFX has always had a great Doctor Who relationship, and I, obviously really want to expand on that as much as we can, and because as we're like fans, no stone left uncovered.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way that I've trying to approach things with Star Trek.
Yeah.
So yeah, some people are easier to get on board with you and say, just trust you and go, yeah, we get it. Like, just what can we give you? What would you like? And other people are a bit like, no, there's no access or there's no photos. So people think that it's just this kind of easy thing that we do all the time. It's actually, it's a lot of admin. It's a lot of
work.
Sitting there with the sort of quill writing. I really love sci-fi. Most of my day is spent, organising people and discussing options of what we can and can't do, or but always at the same time, I'm trying to be mindful of not ever spoiling anything or revealing anything. Not jeopardizing the relationship that we have.
That's it.
It's a nearly 30-year-old magazine, and I don't want to annoy anybody. But also, there's a certain, if you're a fan of sci-fi or horror or fantasy, you kind of expect to see that thing in SFX. So there's a sort of pressure there for me to kind of go, well, we have to do this, or we can't. I need to explain to people that we did try, but for some reason, this blockbuster movie.
It's quite visible,
It's really weird when they say, "Oh, there's nobody available." You're like, really? Not even the caterer?
It's so strange, isn't it? Like, why would you not want to get publicity?
It's all about online or or TikTok or.
It's the PR machine, isn't it? You have to sell and it sounds really horribly commercial, but these people have $1 billion to they got to make that a break even, and the more people that know about your film or whatever it is, the more chances there are of people actually going out to see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if your PR's not making the most of every opportunity, every platform, every publication, every social media, everything, and talking to the people who can activate all those routes to their market, then you're shooting yourselves in the foot, guys, frankly.
Absolutely.
So speak to Darren. And if Darren's not around, speak to me and Jeff. We'll do it for you as well.
We'll
Don't worry about it.
So it's in many ways it's the dream job, but also at the same time it's sometimes it can be quite complicated to navigate various things, because also you're not just dealing with, for example, like Doctor Who. Thank goodness, BBC. You're just dealing with the BBC.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
it's always been that way. And but when you get involved with bigger thing, not that I'm saying the Doctor Who is not big, but there are more people involved in there. There's more.
There's more vested interest, right? There's more stakeholders, and
so it's all over the place. And you're going around in a circle trying to ask people to do something quite simple that they don't kind of go, well, what's this? It's on paper.
Who are these guys, Bob? Do we got to talk to them? You got to talk to them, Steve. They're gonna do the feature on our new film. Really? What the hell? Come on, you got 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Is it like that? Is it exactly like that? But it is.
Well, I don't know if the accents are quite like that, but
I thought I was in 1920s Hollywood then.
Give up, imagine that. I'm gonna.
If we were in the 1920s, maybe.
Yeah. Who is it now, Rick? Some guy from the papers, John. No. I'll stop. I'll stop now.
I'm just going to paper over that and go to a question here, Darren, from Andy Drews with a Z on Twitter. He wants to know what happened to that guy who made up silly bits of retro sci-fi merch for the magazine's Red Alert pages.
I don't know. I think we lost him with the
lost him in the wilderness somewhere.
He's in a storeroom somewhere.
Yeah, I love his stuff. You know his stuff, right? On Twitter, his like the
yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah.
It was just one of those things where I think we dropped in pagination.
Yeah.
And, there's always we're trying to, the budgets, because I don't ever want to sort of go, oh, you're just doing a picture, can we pay you? We don't have the biggest budget in the world as it is, so we did some good stuff with him, and every time I see something that he does on Twitter or whatever, I just think it's such a hoot. It's absolutely bonkers.
It is.
Yeah. Maybe one day we can get him to do something else. I'm thinking about, sure we will. I always end up going back to my old faves.
There you go. You see, you try something new and then go back to what you know. Favors. There's nothing wrong with that. Can we do our new feature? We have one new feature before you shoot off.
Hold on,
go on.
Very quickly, I'm going to double this question up. What have you enjoyed the most recently, and what are you most looking forward to?
I knew you wanted to ask this question.
What, in life, or?
Well, you can answer about life if you want.
What do you mean, Doctor Who?
No, any
generally kind. So with all the movies and TV shows that you've been writing about and watching.
Oh.
And you could tell us about Doctor Who as well. So this has now turned from 2 questions into possibly a 6-parter. Sorry.
What have I enjoyed most about Doctor Who recently? Oh God, you know what? I think I have really started to get so excited about it. Like, really excited about it. And, there's been ups and downs over the years. And, but, oh God, I'm going to sound such a fanboy, but I genuinely love what Russell does is so good.
Yeah.
And what that point in time, 2005 onwards, was just magic. So no pressure. If he messes it up, over between us.
We're finished.
I'm so excited about it, and it's weird because I'm in a position now where I've got to be professional about it, but at the same time, I am a fan. I am a fan, and you can't, you don't want to get sort of too, you don't want to be seen to be being a bit, because almost you feel like people are being, oh, it's not being very professional. You're like, oh my God.
But I think that helps, because I think the spirit of that, and it infuses SFX. It's like a friend of mine is, he's a big music journo, but he writes for the electrical retail industry, which is really dull. Right, but because he's such a muso, right, he sneaks in like Smith's covered out Smith's songs, right, titles, and Beatles titles, and David Bowie references, and various other things, just to kind of and the spirit of his editorship gives the magazine a personality, and I think it's the same with you and SFX, and all the contributors, all the other editors, and everyone, the whole team. You can tell that they're fans. The fact Nick Setchfield is still writing for the magazine after so many years. I've kind of been away from the mag and back and away and back, and his name has always seemed to have been constant throughout the whole thing. The fact you're always writing books, and the reviews are always opinionated, but they're full of energy, and it has a personality, and I think that has to come from being a fan. You can't make that stuff up. And
you
that's why I think a big reason why it's lasted 30 years and suffered through COVID and various other economic pressures from the wider industry. the whole idea of information now, which is available at the fingertips. So by the time you've done an exclusive, it's already splashed across Twitter and TikTok and Facebook and everything else. But the magazine still persists because of you guys putting it together.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I'm so grateful to be a part of this title and part of that team.
Yeah.
I bought the first issue on my way to a Star Trek local group when I was in Edinburgh, watching Voyager, like a pilot.
Yeah.
Black and white because it was an NTSC conversion.
Oh, never the same colour twice. Ew.
So I've always read SFX, and to be able to, the passion that people like Ian, the deputy editor Ian Berriman, and Nick Setchfield, and John Coates, who's the art director. I'm just really grateful that I'm able to work with people who get it. It is such a privilege to be able to work on that title, and everybody what I love about it as well is that everybody that's been involved with it over the years, and the previous years, they all come back together. Like they all still.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's not a normal thing on magazines because people they really don't. I've seen a few in my time, and the fact that these guys all still get along, and you can lean on any of them and say like, oh, can you help me? I need to know about this, and it's like a hive mind where they all come together, and it's great. I've never known anything like it. It's and like I say, everyone's genuinely a fan of stuff. That's a great thing because we, as much as we're writing about it, we genuinely love it. There's no cynicism there in that respect. We're not just doing it because it's a job. We're doing it, and we nitpick about the silliest of things that shouldn't really matter. But we do.
That's what fans do, isn't it?
Yeah, they do to fans. That's it. Yeah.
So sorry again, I've forgotten what there was a
no. It's
what am I really enjoying?
What are you looking forward to?
Well, so I said I was looking forward to the whole Doctor Who thing. That old thing always comes back. I'm so excited. I can't wait. At some point, I've been sort of tantalised, carrot on a stick, of being able to go on set, and at some point soon, I'm hoping that's going to happen. Not just once, but hopefully quite a lot. I've been hearing. I'm sure we've all heard the rumours about the TARDIS set.
It's massive.
And if it is
drones,
amazing.
Mad.
See, it's so exciting. That's. I think I'm genuinely looking forward to that. But the thing I've loved most recently has been Picard because people throw the word cinematic around so much now for anything, any TV show that has a drone. No offense, Doctor Who. Any TV show like that, everyone's like, "Oh, it's cinematic." Actually, they're not all that cinematic, but Picard is cinematic. Excuse me, I'm not getting emotional. I just had a hiccup. It is truly, truly great television, and it presses all the right buttons, but it's not just fan service. It's quite builds on it, and
it's a really beautiful character piece as well. I think. To be honest, though, just to let you know, I haven't seen all of season 3 yet, so I'm still kind of leisurely. I'm not binging it. I'm just leisurely working my way through. So I've literally done 2 episodes. So please don't spoil it.
I was going to say then be careful because people will spoil things.
I know. I've been trying to avoid as much of it as possible. I haven't even read your bits on Picard yet.
Be careful of that too.
That feels like you need to mute those words on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because there's a 24-hour gap between when it's aired in the States to when it comes on Paramount Plus in the UK and Prime as well. There is still the 24-hour gap of spoilers, basically, and no one's saying that you should be on the internet, but we can't really avoid it these days. But so I think that's been the biggest thing. I've also really loved Lockwood and Co because it did have a good Doctor Who vibe.
Do you know, I started watching that, but it didn't. I thought this will be really good. They didn't quite grab me. I found it a bit overly serious when it shouldn't have been. Maybe I need to stick with it. Should I stick with it, Darren?
I loved it, and you can imagine how many things that I watch now.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. It's
I watched a lot before, but now,
yeah.
Now it's the job as well.
Yeah, if you're liking it, it's got to be something special.
So
really.
I really, because I just kind of went, oh, this will be like another young adult Netflix show, and I hadn't read the books, and now I've got them to read because I think they're obviously going to be good. But it was one that did completely bowl me over.
Okay, I'll go back to it, and I'll
give
reassess it. Yeah,
give it another go. Right.
Can
we do
Paul,
our new feature? Yeah. We have our new feature because we're cracking all the time. We've done loads actually.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised about that.
No, it's
fine. We love it.
It's been really good.
You know what it's like for content, Darren. The more you get, the better it is. But we do have a brand new feature, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners. And Darren, you are in the privileged position of being the first of our very special guests to partake, even unwillingly, in this new feature. The new feature is called.
I want to use the word victim.
Don't use the word victim. I told you not to use that. It's all in the language, Jeff.
You did.
Our new feature, ladies and gentlemen, is called dun, 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 the Grand Serpent Asteroid. Ooh. So if you remember at the end of Doctor Who Flux, the Grand Serpent, evil person that he was abandoned to his fate in lonely space, in an asteroid, literally in space, with nothing, not even nothing. A TV or a book to read. So what we're going to do, Darren, is put you in a very similar position. However, we are not going to be quite so callous as to leave you with nothing. We are going to let you have some books, and there's a TV there. There's even a Blu-ray player, so you can take your favourite things. However, you can't take everything, my friend. So I'm going to read you some choices. You tell me which of the following are you going to choose. You up for this?
Yep.
Yes.
I hope so, because our end of the show isn't going to work otherwise.
You managed if I went, nah, see you later.
Yeah.
Fucking doing that.
To be continued.
My fan gene kicked in, and I was like, I can't leave anything. I have to have everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah. Let's test that fan gene right now and put it under some pressure. Okay, Darren. So the first choice you've got to make is dun 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 dun, your Dalek collection or your Star Wars comic collection. Which are you going to take?
Oh. That is a hard one because I think I would get more, not enjoyment, but I would have more brain active because I'd be able to read the comics.
Yeah.
The Daleks probably wouldn't serve much of a purpose.
Apart from trundling them around the place, I suppose, and enacting various battles.
Yeah. Unless there's eBay in the cell, and I can.
There isn't. eBay, it's just literally an asteroid in empty space for which you will spend an eternity upon it. So choose wisely.
Do any of the Dalek head parts come off to open a hollow body in which you could insert comics?
I'm not allowing that. I'm not allowing that.
Getting around the restriction.
Jeff, you're supposed to be on my side, mate.
I am. Sorry. Yeah, you have to pick one or the other.
Yeah, apparently. I think I would have to leave the Daleks. I think they do.
Sad Daleks.
It hurts me to say it, but they serve no actual purpose. Sorry, Doctor Who fans.
Star Wars comics are awesome, Jeff. Honestly. Okay, here's the next one. You are allowed to take with you, Darren, one complete, and I mean complete, series 1 to the final season of one iteration of Star Trek, but only one. Which is it going to be?
So I can have the entire thing.
You can have an entire OG series, an entire Next Generation, or Voyager, or Discovery, or Picard, or which one are you going to go for?
It's going to be Voyager.
Really?
My favourite. I love Voyager.
Is it?
I love Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah.
She thinks I'm stalking her now. I've made my mark.
She's wrong.
I mean, I love Jerry Ryan. I love Star Wars. Yeah, it just reminds me of such good times as well. And, moving the franchise on, first female captain.
Yeah.
I loved it. I know that there are other things that Deep Space Nine is like amazing and everything, but
Voyager's fine. Voyager's great. I like Voyager. Yeah. But although bear in mind, it is I believe it's the only Star Trek series which hasn't yet even been upscaled to full HD, is it? It's still in standard fuzzy definition, so you're going to be lumbered with that.
DS9's not been upscaled yet.
DS9 has. I'm pretty sure it's in HD.
It's not on Blu-ray.
Isn't it? I'm sure. I don't know. We'll have to check that. But even so, Voyager's the one you're going for, which is fine. That's all good. Okay, you are also allowed, because there is actually a music CD player thing on there. No streaming, but there is a turntable. There's a turntable, not a CD, a turntable and an amplifier and some pretty wicked speakers. But you're only allowed to take one album. What's it going to be?
Ooh, I think we're going to give me a choice there.
No.
Okay, that's
sometimes there's a choice, but sometimes there isn't. Well, the choice is you can choose from whatever.
Yeah, he's made it bastard hard, this one.
Yeah. See, bastard head. That's me.
Should it be the Pescaton or?
Ooh.
No, I'm kidding. It wouldn't be that. I think my favourite album of all time is 3. It's called 3, and it's by Shakespeare's sister.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favourite album of all time. It's when she was just by herself, so it was just Siobhan. But
gosh, I haven't heard anything from those guys for years and years, but it takes me back there. Now, what would you choose, Jeff? What would be your album?
Oh, jeez. It would probably be, I don't know, Actung Baby, maybe.
The which, sorry?
Actung Baby.
Ooh,
U2.
Yeah.
Or maybe How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. I do like that a lot.
Actung would be a good one. I could live in eternity with Actung Baby.
Trying to think of a way I could class all U2 albums as one
You can't.
album.
You can't. So, movie. The box set. Yeah, yes. The complete U2. Yeah,
complete anthology that I've just made.
Well, you could do like greatest hits, couldn't you? I suppose, which probably would get around all that. But okay. Yeah. So, you're also allowed to take with you only one horror movie. What's it going to be?
Oh God, I love my horror as well. So
I might give you a chance to rescue another one in a second, but let's go with this one first.
Horror movie. It's probably going to have to be Halloween.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, good choice. Yeah.
I'm also a massive Nightmare on Elm Street 3 fan.
Ooh. Yeah, I quite like that one, actually.
That to me is it's almost Five Doctor-ish in a way that it brings people back.
I've never thought of it in those terms before, but now you mention it.
Oh gosh. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of screamingly obvious horror film that
I would pick a Scream film. That's what I'd go for.
Would you?
Yeah. I don't know which
Any
one.
particular one?
They're all good. Like for me, they're all hitting a high mark. Maybe 5. I thought it was really clever.
Okay.
And
have you seen 6?
I have seen 6, which was extraordinarily brutal, but I really like that as well, particularly the way it kind of homaged the entire series as a film and in world as well, and it was smart. It was good. Yeah, I like the new the core 4. They're pretty good.
Interesting. Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What would you?
No, you don't get to throw it back at me. I'm asking the questions now. Do you know? Actually, I think I'd probably go for something. I'd probably go for. Actually, Hellraiser is at the front of my mind at the moment. I really like Clive Barker's, horror stuff, and right now, I would choose Hellraiser, so that would be the one. Okay, so getting into the last couple of these now. So, one sci-fi movie. Only one, again. What's it going to be?
Aliens, immediately. Aliens.
Boom.
I think actually that would be mine. That's when I was thinking of this earlier. I mean, I love Alien, the first one. Ridley Scott's is just a classic, and it's just brilliant. But it's the comfort zone. It's the comfy sofa for me. It is good.
Yeah. It's so good, that film.
It is. Same for you, Jeff? Or would you go?
Well, I'm a big Cameron fan, so
Indeed.
I am thinking, how could I make the Cameron anthology? But I'm going to I'm going to throw.
I shouldn't have asked this. I know what he's going to say.
Okay, what I'm going to do, because I know the next question, my sci-fi movie would be Alita, and my fantasy would be Avatar. Because it's not quite sci-fi, but it's not quite fantasy.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. So yes, as Jeff said, one fantasy movie you're allowed to take.
Are we classing superhero movies as fantasy movies?
Oh, yeah, we could actually. We could do that. Yeah.
Because then it would be Batman Returns.
Oh, that is the best Batman.
It's my favourite film of all time.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great film.
Yeah. Like so, just
brilliant.
Movie.
Yeah.
I did. I watched a few. Actually, no. Started last year. I started watching all the Batman movies again.
Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Because I was going to buy. I was going to get the Pattinson Batman movie. So I thought, you know what? Because I've seen them all, obviously. But I thought I'm just going to watch them all back to back, near enough. And I did. I got through 2, sometimes 3 a week. So it's almost back to back. And I'll tell you what. I don't think there's. Well, I know there is one clunker in the whole lot actually, but but Batman Returns is just it's another level compared to any. It just towers above them all, really. I mean, yeah, it's so unique.
Yeah, I love the fact that it basically it completely changed the whole franchise because
It's Tim Burton unleashed, isn't it? You know, you can see him trying a few things in the first Keaton movie, but as soon as he gets Batman Returns, he just goes for it.
Yeah.
Big time. And it's just unstoppably brilliant and mesmerising and everything.
Yeah, I love everything about it. You know, the thing about duality for all of the characters and the score, the sets are amazing.
Yeah. The master camera work, the stylistic way it kind of foreshadows so many things within the movie. You know, you get Selena Kyle shot in such a way that her glasses look like cat's eyes in the mask and stuff like that. And he's playing with the images and the iconography throughout and interweaving it. It's such a clever visual storytelling movie.
Brilliant film. Yeah.
Oh, you set us off on that one now. Yeah, that's good. So here's one where we're back to a choice of one or the other. You might not like either of these, but you have to pick one because that's the law, frankly. Is it going to be Buffy or Smallville?
Buffy.
Oh, not even any question there. Straight in.
No,
he's thinking about it.
That's not even a question.
I thought that'll challenge him. No,
absolutely not. Buffy all the way.
Buffy all the way.
Yeah, I mean, just a game changer. I mean, and also, you know, inspirational to Doctor Who.
Yep.
Very much so, yeah.
So it all ties back, but yeah, Buffy's incredible. It's game-changing television.
Same for you, Jeff. You pick that?
Yeah, although I might say I'd take Angel because I felt Angel was probably a little bit stronger.
But there would be no Angel if not for Buffy.
That's true.
Not.
So I'll happily take Buffy. And I can bend the rules by saying, you know, there was crossovers with Angel, so therefore I have to have Angel as well.
You get a little bit of Angel, I suppose. I'm gonna just destroy you two completely, and just for the sheer hell of it, I'm gonna take Smallville because I love it, which is also influential in its own kind of way. You know,
that's your hill. That's your hill.
I don't care. I'm gonna die in that hell. Okay, so here's penultimate one now. One of these two, if you please: Shaun of the Dead or Day of the Dead.
Ooh, Day, because I have to be classic.
I
love Shaun of the Dead. I love it.
Yeah.
But Day, I have to go with the original. I think that's the nerd gene in me.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's one of those films I can't watch that much of, though.
No, but
it freaks me out.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
It seems to cut right to the bone, and it's the whole kind of starkness, I think, of it all, and it's a great movie. Don't get me wrong. I think I love it, but
some films are like that, aren't they? They're great, but they're a hard watch, and you can't do it that often.
Yeah, sometimes you need that though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not when you're stuck on an asteroid.
Yeah.
Surrounded by empty space.
Yeah,
as well.
Bleak,
okay, so here's the final one, and what I think is actually the most difficult of all of these questions that I've put to you on the Grand Serpent's asteroid. It is here. One You are allowed to take one full season of Doctor Who. What's it going to be?
Because now I'm thinking, classic or new.
Yeah, you can't have one of each. It's got to be just one throughout the entirety of the whole thing.
Well, the new Who is longer, so maybe season 4.
Oh, okay. The Donna Noble season, isn't it? Yeah, with Davros and Journey's End and
Stolen Earth. Yeah,
Stolen Earth. That's the one.
I would have said season 25 because it's got the Happiness Patrol in it, and that's my favourite. But as I say, that season 4 just really got me. It really, the way that the character of Donna was. She's my favourite companion. I'd never seen a companion like that before. And just incredible. The way that it just really just put you right through the ringer, that whole thing. So. Just what you need on an asteroid to feel even worse.
Absolutely, and but it does have that joyous kind of battle with the Daleks and all the with Sarah Jane and Captain Jack and Martha, everybody around the TARDIS, which is a real punch in the air moment. Great, I think, isn't it? It's seeing everything coming together.
And then Donna loses her memory.
That's. I don't like that actually, But we might get a resolution to that in the upcoming specials, by the looks of it. I really, really hope so. So
hope this doesn't blow up.
I know, yeah. Skinny man. I must admit, I can't wait. I think it's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Jeff, what would your one season of Doctor Who be?
I'd probably. I really like Flux. I think I would take that. It's awesome. Yeah. I wish it was 8 episodes, not 6. I think they would have really gone to town on it. But
and as we said, made during COVID. I mean,
there's a number of reasons I like it, but that's one of them. The fact that they pulled all that off under, we could have had no Who at all that year, and the fact that it was that ambitious was impressive. Yeah, but I do like season 8 and 9 a lot as well. I do. I'm going to go
season
Flux.
8 and 9, the
Capaldi.
classic.
Yeah.
Oh, Capaldi one's series.
But Pertwee as well. Yeah. Oh, that is a hard question. I'm going to go with Flux.
Of course it is. You're going with Flux.
I am. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Just for the record, I've already made up my mind because I've had all day to think about this, and I've decided that it's going to be season 21, the final Peter Davison series. Frontiers, The Awakening, Warriors of the Deep, Caves of Androzani, and the Twin Dilemma. But it is what it is. It's part of it. It's there. So
I love the Dilemma.
Yeah, I don't mind it. We spoke to Kevin McNally, didn't we, a little while ago, and I asked him about Twin Dilemma, and he says, yes, the one story which is voted constantly by fans as being the worst ever Doctor Who story. And I said, I don't mind it. Sure, there's loads of things that could have been better about it, but it's there and it's fun, so why not? It's brilliant. Okay, right, that is the end of our feature, the Grand Serpent's Asteroid. So we're going to close the door, the portal, and leave you to it with all your Star Treks and your Buffys and your Series 4 and all the rest of it. Obviously we're not going to do that. So we are going to wish you we are going to say, Darren Scott, thank you so much for joining us on Who Corner's Corner. I've had a blast, mate. I can't believe we've been talking for blooming hours, seriously.
As often with
a lot of cutting.
No, it's all good.
Bumper episode, I think.
Yeah, and as often with our guests, we could just keep talking, I think, but people have got
my family have literally gone to bed. I can hear them.
I got to get the kids' stuff ready for school. So.
I've checked the dogs out, so that's my my own.
Yeah, that's yours. Yeah.
No, it's been an absolute blast, Darren. Thanks for joining us, mate. It's been a real pleasure and a privilege to talk to you. And what can I say? All the best of luck with with SFX and everything else you do. And thanks for flying the flag for sci-fi and fantasy and horror and all the stuff we like to geek out about, man. It's brilliant.
Thank you. And watch this space for a lot more Doctor Who later.
Brilliant. Looking forward to it.
You heard it there first.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us. We'll see
Thanks,
you again
everyone.
on another
See you soon.
podcast coming very soon. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.